What's up, guys? Welcome to the Jumpmaster X podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about the most common mistakes athletes make when they have jumper's knee or patella tendinopathy. And there's quite a lot of them, and some of them you might be making yourself without realizing and causing yourself more knee pain and holding yourself back from having those wonderful, effortless jumps where nothing hurts and you can jump forever. So let's jump into it. First one is bending the knee too much and putting the tendon into compression too much. Now, that causes the load, number one, it loads the tendon in that position, in that lengthened position. So you're adding a little bit of loading, like trying to stretch it or bend it in that position. And it can cause more pain that's not really necessary, especially if you're in more of the sensitive stages of having it.
Yeah. I will say that I'd say 95 to 99% of cases of jumper's knee, bad knee pain, will not get solved just from loosening up, muscles around the knee. More often than not, you've just done too much, too quickly, and stretching the tendons just gonna, like Austin said, put it into compression. It's gonna aggravate it. It's gonna hurt it more. It's basically adding more load. So you're just adding more fuel to the fire. You're not actually, you're not extinguishing the fire.
Yeah. So we're not saying you should never bend your knee or anything like that. If your pain's getting better, you're getting healthier, and you are healthy, it's 100% okay to do that, and you should do that. But when you're in the more sensitive stages and you have pain, it can cause more pain than necessary and hold you back. The next thing, not
Simple.
counting jump reps.
Hmm?
So that's a big, big key. Especially when you're going through the early stages of jumping and doing jump sessions, you got to be very diligent with how much jumping volume you're going through. We have an athlete right now from Melbourne.
Yeah.
Do we want to share his name?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Actually, we'll keep him anonymous. We'll keep him anonymous. Yeah, one of our athletes from Melbourne uh has to be very diligent with his jump reps, because if he over jumps even a little bit right now, it's going to cause him more pain, and he's not going to be able to progress the next week, and his knee's going to explode. Not saying you have to count your jump reps forever, but when you have knee pain, it's a very important thing to do to ensure you're not overdoing the volume. And it can take quite a lot of discipline to do this, but it's a very important aspect of managing pain. Like, I've done this a lot in the past when I've had pain, to ensure my pain doesn't worsen and I come back the next week fine. You've done this at times as well, Tom?
Yeah. Yeah, bro. 100%. I think everyone's guilty of it. If you're one of those people that suffer from knee pain, chances are you've done this.
Yeah, no, for sure. For sure. You can use session time as well to manage volume. However, it's not always that accurate, because sometimes you can do 3 jumps in a minute and not realize it. So that's where I do like counting reps and being a little bit more onto it, especially while you're in those more sensitive stages, I think is better. But next thing is not loading the quads enough, or emphasizing getting your quads stronger enough.
Right.
So I guess, why do the quads matter, Tom, when you're trying to get over knee pain?
It's one of those, yeah, it's one of those catch-22s, because it's like a lot of the time people think, I can't get my quad stronger because my knee hurts, but the best thing that for your knee is going to be getting your quad stronger. The muscle's going to support the tendon, right? So it's keeping the muscle stronger, getting the tendon stronger as well. You've got to remember, tendons do adapt. They just take longer than muscles. Getting those both stronger over time is going to build your resilience. It's going to allow you to be able to jump better and jump for longer in the future. Now, how do you get, to the point where you can actually build strength, in the movements that originally hurt, is you got to really regress it back and find the point that, is acceptable in terms of pain level. I'm thinking like less than a 2.5 out of 10. So if you're talking about back squats, elevate those heels. If you have to start with the bar, start with the bar. And if you can't do normal tempo, do them slow. Do 5 seconds down, 5 seconds up. You can progress it to 3 seconds down, 3 seconds up. You can add some weight, all right? Or you can, increase your reps or whatever. But if even that's too much, literally just start with isometrics, get the tendon to a point where it's not hurting, but literally going up, you know, one inch on whatever you're doing, and then just keep building and building. If you have to do body weight squats, you have to do body weight squats. Yeah, tempo, weight, reps. There's all very good ways to progress, but the bottom line is you want to get to the point where you're actually building strength. Back to that Melbourne person we are talking about. With them, it was literally at the point where like a back squat would hurt it. So we've really had to progress it back, and we prioritized the weight room over jump reps. Took jumping out for a little bit, But because he got stronger in the gym, it means he can actually start jumping now. He's adding 2 to 5 jumps per session. He's dunking twice a week now, whether that's a low rim and a high rim or a high rim and a high rim. It really depends on the week and the weather. But yeah, how quickly it turned around was very crazy. And it's because he focused on the weight room, he did the right things, and he stayed disciplined, especially during group sessions where it's very hard to stay disciplined. If you have a jump counter and you're in a group of like 10 cracked out dunkers, following those jump reps is going to be hard, but it's very important if you're susceptible to such a thing.
For sure, for sure. Like the thing that hurts the most, especially early on, that's loading the knee, loading the quadricep. It's one of the most important things to do slowly over the long term to ensure your tendons build up, they get stronger, and your knees become far more resilient to pain. And one of the best ways we like to do that is obviously squatting in an upright position, but also using leg extensions as well. I think it's quite an effective tool. Jordan really likes those. I really like those as well. Just because you can't run from loading the quadricep on a leg extension. Like there's no way around it. You can't really start compensating too
No,
much with the adductor or the hamstring or anything like that. It's very isolating. And I think that's why it's such a good tool. Because a lot of guys are very good at, like if you're like like most athletes are very good at learning to compensate and I guess avoid the pain, and they can get quite creative in terms of these compensations.
yeah,
So that's where
yep,
isolating the problem and addressing it head on and ensuring it's progressed slowly. That's really how you can ensure your knees become way more durable in the long term, and you can jump for longer and handle way more. And if you guys are wanting help doing this correctly to ensure you don't mess this up and you're on the right track, you can apply for coaching down below, so you don't have to worry about what you're supposed to be doing. We'll handle it all for you and tell you what you're supposed to be doing. But yeah, jumping back into the podcast, yeah, leg extension is a good tool. What are your thoughts on doing something like a knees over toes lunge, Tom, for this, or Patrick step down? You know what I'm talking about.
right. Yeah, well, I mean, they're not necessarily, I mean, the second one I'm not too big of a fan of, but a knees over toes lunge potentially could be used because, if you're building quad strength, then I'm all for it. But again, if you're in those early stages of knee pain, that's just going to aggravate it. It's going to send it back down the pain continuum, and it's just not going to do anything positive for you. Another thing I'll touch on real quick is you mentioned that people are very good at getting around the head of knee pain, like changing their, how they squat or how they jump or whatever. I would definitely say that if you have to switch to a low bar squat, talking about strictly jumpers here, not powerlifters, but if you have to switch to a low bar squat just to not get knee pain, I'd probably say you are running from the pain and go and address it first because, we've harped on about this. If you can high bar arse back squat, please do it. If you have to elevate your heels, whatever. And the other thing I'll say is, knee sleeves. If you have to have knee sleeves to squat a weight that you could do 2 months earlier without knee sleeves, your knees are probably not getting healthier. You're probably going further down the continuum, so you definitely don't want to start relying on those either.
No, for sure. For sure. I guess this is one of the biggest things guys make in terms of making a mistake, and it causes quite a lot of pain, is spiking volume too quickly, whether it's coming back after a period in the off season to playing basketball 5 times a week when they weren't playing before, or starting in the gym and loading their knee and squatting twice a week heavy when they haven't squatted in a long time. That's really where you can cause pain, and that's really the reason this issue comes about. It's just loading the tissues and the joint too quickly, and it can happen for a number of reasons. Like we said, with the basketball, with the loading in the gym, could be just jumping when you haven't had a jump session in a long time, or you haven't had a jump session ever, and then you jump for an hour. That can cause it as well. So the key is to
That'll
not
do it.
spike your volume. And yeah, it's very hard to avoid this and stay disciplined, but this is how you stop the issue coming about, is slowly reintroducing those things if you haven't done them for a long time.
Yep, 100%.
So, like even when you go to jump as well, it could be intensity, not just volume. So, for example,
Yeah.
say you're used to dunking on a low rim, and then you go and have a high rim session when you haven't in ages, and your outputs are way higher. That's another thing to think about as well. Change your surface too. outdoor versus indoor. Indoor can be a little bit stressful on the knees. Most good basketball courts reduce a little bit of impact, but if you go outdoors on concrete, it's a little bit higher impact. So if you jump with the same volume and intensity outdoors, and you're not used to jumping outdoors, that might potentially cause issues. So that's where it might be smart in that situation to do a little bit less jumping than what you normally do indoors as well. So I
Yeah.
know like you've had experiences
Yeah.
with that, Tom. I have as well. So was there anything else that we can add to this list, Tom?
The only thing I'll say, the last thing I want to say is something that will not help your knee pain is doing more. Now, maybe in some situations it might help because, the worst thing for your knee is probably doing nothing and just sitting there and, not rehabbing it. But a lot of people, they get knee pain, they start adding all these funky exercises on top. They start adding more, weight room load to their knee instead of regressing. And again, that's just going to add more load to the knee. It's going to add more, fuel to the fire, and it's not going to help you. So yeah, sometimes it literally is do less, let your knee catch up, let the pain, subdue, and then slowly build up from there.
For sure, for sure. The answer is really doing. The answer is never really doing more. The answer is doing less. 99% of the time, if you have jumper's knee. I guess another little one that's not too much of a big factor is nutrition. So if you're eating stuff that inflames your body, I know for some people, Jordan's talked about this on a past podcast, when he would drink alcohol, his
100%.
pain in
Yeah.
his knee would just flare up. So that's definitely something to look out for as well. There might be certain things that inflame you more so than other people just because everyone's a little bit different. So that's definitely something to look out for as well. We could talk about this topic all day, but we hope this podcast helped you out and we hope you got a lot of value from it. And again, if you want to start off coaching, you want help with this, you want all the guesswork taken out for you, you can apply for the link down below, and we'll catch you guys in the next episode.
Peace out, guys.